So funny.
So there is a guy who was like a Call of Duty YouTuber. He was a Call of Duty YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or something.
Okay, chat, we're gonna come back to Hasan Piker and Doomscroll, but we gotta make fun of Hutch first, okay? I've been waiting for this for so long. Bad Empanada finally makes fun of Hutch. I wish I knew he was gonna make this video. I wish I knew he was gonna make this video, because Hutch owes me money. Hutch owes me fucking money for losing bets. It's not only that Hutch is a genocide propagandist, it's that he also is stupid. He's not just a dumb piece of shit evil guy. He's actually a dumbass.
No, man. And that was like a bald 40-year-old man who just posts the most vile Zionist propaganda you'll ever see in your life. Me talking about him is going to give him the most attention he's ever gotten in his career for like the last 10 years. Because he gets no views anymore. All of his subscribers are just people who don't use their accounts anymore from 10 years ago, and they remained subscribed to him from when he was, back when he was like a Call of Duty YouTuber. Is this guy right here, Hutch. 800k subs, gets like 10k views per video, chatting with Lonerbox, you know, chatting with, I'd do that. The guy who justifies the shooting of children.
Chatting with Lonerbox! Oh my god, pathetic!
In the head. The guy who claimed that slain Palestinian toddlers are actually adult Hamas members.
By the way, I debated Hutch. I don't know if this video still exists on his channel. Somebody look for it. But I debated him on immigration policy, and I told him that Joe Biden would betray immigrants and was turning against immigrants. And he tried to pretend that he was the pro-immigrant guy. And everything I said turned out, not only was I right, Biden went on to adopt Trump's immigration policy. Again, that's yet another point that he was dead fucking wrong on.
To justify their slayings, average slop YouTuber. So this guy became like a fanatical genocidal Zionist from Call of Duty YouTuber. What a weird fucking trajectory, right? From Call of Duty to whatever the fuck this is. He deleted all of his gaming videos and started just doing Zionist propaganda. Interesting stuff. He's also, to be clear, he's refused to debate me. I've challenged him multiple times. He is fucking so fucking afraid of me. It's crazy. Let's take a look at some of his delightful claims. Firstly, this guy really likes to justify bombing hospitals. It's like his favorite thing, probably. He's doubled down on it multiple times. Like, he's at the level of Zionism where you're not even a liberal Zionist anymore. You can't even claim to that. You're just openly justifying hospital bombings. You're not even trying to hide it. It's, of course, him reacting to Hasan, right? That's what all these people do. Like, they rely on Hasan. If Hasan went away tomorrow, they'd go away tomorrow. Without him, they have no content. These guys never make. They never do anything original. All they do is leech off others. Describes Ethan Klein perfectly as well, by the way.
What I love about these guys is that they're leeches, but they're not, though. Like, it's not successful. Like, even when Hutch is just like full-blown pure, like, he's trying to get Destiny's community to watch him, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. No matter how much he kisses Destiny's ass, you could just see the followers falling off, the viewership declining, the hours watched declining, the peak viewers declining. Our streams is up, number of streams is up, but it just doesn't work. Being a Destiny leech does not work because he is stupid. And so the people that think Destiny are smart or is smart are even dumber than Destiny. So nobody's going to watch Hutch. I mean, falling for Destiny, at least he acts like confident. It's like, look at all these people. Look at all of these, look at all these Destiny leeches. It's just a total failure, man. All right, well, you know, I don't want to make fun of them without looking at my stats, so there's a context. We'll look at my stats. Oh. Up 32%. Up 44% hours watched. Or 41%. Another 11,000 followers gained. You know. Line go up. Here's my year. And that's like, listen, like I've grown tremendously. Making fun of Ethan Klein was great. I did really awesome in November, got myself growing, and then making fun of Ethan Klein was even funnier.
Hygiene
and okay, I'm sorry. I was watching making fun of Hutch. Sorry.
The way he's never made an original piece of content in his life.
Systems under hospitals, and that is part of the reason why Israel is bombing hospitals.
Does anybody dispute this?
Hospitals is a war crime.
No. Everybody does. Everybody does, including. Oh, you want to hear? I'll give you an example. Like Hutch is such a stupid piece of shit. Like a legitimate stupid piece of shit. Like a scumbag piece of shit. We specifically called, they said that Hezbollah has gold under a hospital in Lebanon, right? And in Lebanon, foreign media hasn't been kicked out. So the BBC went to the hospital and had complete free reign of the entire hospital. And they found fucking nothing. They lie.
Well, we're on level -2 in the Al Sahel hospital. The area just behind me is where medical waste is stored. Even that was opened up for us to have a look. The morgue was opened up. All of the drawers were opened to show us there was nothing inside. Doctors have been opening piles of surgical scrubs, boxes of equipment, very, very keen to show us everything there is to see and to prove that there is nothing here. Well, I'm just coming now from the basement on -2 up to -1. We've been brought around the hospital by doctors. We've also been allowed to move around on our own. Doors have been opened for us in every area, cupboards. We've been allowed to see what there is to see. Now, the hospital staff are adamant that there is no hidden bunker here containing millions of dollars of cash or gold, as the Israelis have claimed. They say this is just a hospital where patients were being treated last night and where they had to be evacuated from the emergency area at great speed because doctors were worried for the lives of the patients and also worried for the staff.
So in other words, Israel claims that hospitals are used as now in Gaza, no foreign journalists are allowed to go in. But in Lebanon, Israel said, we're going to bomb this hospital. It's the headquarters of Hezbollah's gold storage operation. And the BBC went there and there was no evidence whatsoever. They were caught red fucking handed. And now you know why Israel kills hundreds of journalists and bans foreign journalists from going into Gaza, because all they do is lie because they're doing a goddamn genocide. And this isn't Al Jazeera. This isn't some sort of pro-Palestinian news source. This is the BB motherfucking C. The BBC went to this hospital, investigated everything, and they said that Israel lies.
You heard his reaction to that? Hasan said that Israel is justifying the bombing of hospitals by saying that Hamas has command centers on a hospital, something that there's no evidence for. And bold Call of Duty YouTuber here, his response was to say, does anyone deny that? Does anyone think that's not real? Yeah, literally everyone. Actually, literally everyone except the IDF and Zionists like you. Yes, actually. There's literally no evidence of that ever been provided. Yeah, factual. Truth. They bomb every hospital in Gaza. Do you think like all 36 of them have command centers under them? Are you fucking insane? And then now he goes on to justify the bombing of hospitals. I'm not kidding you.
Is a war crime.
No, it's not.
Okay, bombing hospitals
Bombing hospitals is a war crime. No, it's not.
is a war crime. In your
not.
conversation
To be clear, and I'm not saying all hospitals should be bombed, but
Not all hospitals should be bombed, okay? Just some of them.
there's no such thing as like a building that is exempt from bombing if it's a valid military target.
gone back and
This is why gatekeeping exists. This is why gatekeeping exists. For people like Hutch not to be allowed to talk. That's like saying there's no such thing as murder as long as you're using self-defense, as long as you're killing someone in self-defense. And okay, a lot of you didn't go to law school, so you don't understand how devastating that point is. Let me break it down for you a little bit more. If you are being accused of killing someone, and then you say, I did it in self-defense, you're admitting to having intentionally killed the person. You're admitting everything. That's actually really risky. Because the hardest thing about convicting someone at court is beyond a reasonable doubt. So when you come forward and say, I killed him in self-defense, the burden of proof now goes on to you to prove that self-defense was justified. You don't get to just say, I did it in self-defense, therefore doing it is okay. You admit you did it, and then you have to prove, the burden of proof is now on you to prove that it was actually a lawful self-defense. And that has a lot of elements that you've got to demonstrate. So that's the same thing is true with hospitals. If you bomb, hospitals are protected under the Geneva Conventions. Schools are protected. Religious institutions and civilian institutions are protected under the Geneva Convention. Now you can rebut that protection with evidence that they're being used in active military activities, or you have to rebut that protection. Hospitals are protected. You have to rebut that with evidence, or else it's a presumed war crime. So if you destroy every hospital and every school and every university, you can't say, oh yeah, they're using them, and just throw that out there as a justification. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was the minimal, most proportionate response, and that the veil of protection was lifted because it was used as an active military zone. You can't just say hospitals can be bombed because I say they are being used militarily. And by the way, somebody going there for treatment doesn't make it a military zone. If I am a Hamas soldier and I'm injured and I go to a hospital to get treatment, that doesn't mean you can bomb the fucking hospital. Just because a Hamas official goes to a church or goes to a hospital doesn't mean it's a valid military target. It has to be used as a active piece of infrastructure for the military to lose the veil of protection. You cannot just bomb it because somebody in the enemy was at an apartment building or was at a fucking hospital or was at the church. No. If they're not using it for military operations, then it's not a valid target. Like, this is actually insane how stupid Hutch is.
That's not true at all either. You're not allowed to bomb anything to attack any building if the toll of doing so is disproportionate to the military advantage. And bombing a hospital can pretty much never, ever, ever, ever be proportionate to the military advantage gained from that bombing. It's a fucking place with sick people with no legs who can't run. It's a place of vulnerable, ill people who can't get away, who can't do anything, who can't evacuate. So yes, there's literally no situation under international humanitarian law where it would make sense to attack an actual active hospital that hasn't been abandoned for like years just to get to a supposed military target within it. Literally, there's practically...
It's actually a specific breach of the Geneva Convention. Enemy combatants who are not actively attacking you are entitled to first aid. Exactly! You're not allowed to bomb hospitals if people are not engaged in military activities. And just being in Hamas doesn't mean that you are engaged in active military activities. Like, it's a fucking that's the entire reason we have the Geneva Convention. The whole reason.
No situation where that could be justified, where it's not a war crime. Not to mention that the idea that there are military targets in the hospital is a fucking lie. You cannot and will not provide any evidence for it, aside from like the IDF fucking planting easily movable weapons in basements that they themselves built on the El Shifa hospital, which no one ever fucking bought. What a disgusting freak.
On it, and you called it a war or whatever. But having said that, in your conversation with Sam Seder, you thought you had a gotcha.
I'm not sticking up for bombing every hospital. I'm saying if you set up shop in a hospital, you make that hospital a valid military target.
Hutch is one of those people who legitimately would have been a Nazi in World War II because he fell for every Nazi talking point instantly because he's a dope. Dumber than rocks.
You factually do not make it a military target by default. It's deal with proportionate advantage. 2, you don't have any fucking evidence they did that in the first place. You're still spreading it.
It is not illegal by international.
Fucking go play Call of Duty. Go play Call of Duty and get fucking creamed by a 14-year-old Fortnite kid. That's your death.
Here's the International Committee of the Red Cross. Protection of hospitals during armed conflicts. What the law says. This is from 2023. According to international humanitarian law, health establishments and units, including hospitals, should not be attacked. This protection extends to the wounded and sick, as well as medical staff and means of transport. This rule has few exceptions. In times of armed conflict, the wounded and sick include anyone, whether military or civilian, who needs medical attention and is not or no longer taking part in hostilities. Under international humanitarian law, all wounded and sick, no matter what party they belong to, enjoy general rights to be respected, not to be subject to attacks, killing, or ill treatment, protected, a right to be assisted and shielded from harm against third parties, searched for and collected, and cared for without distinction based on grounds other than medical ones. Does that sound like what Israel is doing? Although the IAHL allows to search for, collect, and provide care as far as practicable, in other words, taking into consideration the security conditions and the means available, a lack of resources does not justify inaction. Even in cases where such resources are limited, state and non-state parties to a conflict must accomplish their best efforts to ensure medical care to the wounded and sick. Does that sound like Israel? Does that sound like Israel to you? Again, International Committee of the Red Cross, not Hamas, not lefty propagandists, the most neutral third party that exists in the fucking world. This is what Hutch is disagreeing with. You are a Nazi, Hutch. You are a Nazi fuck. God damn, what a scumbag.
Destiny, go back to what you knew. Too old for it now, so this is what you're doing.
Not something to be celebrated, but you can't disagree with me. You can just look it up.
How is that? You can't disagree with me. You could just look it up.
Why don't you look it up yourself?
I mean, honestly.
This isn't something that's like, oh, I have an opinion.
Pro-Zionist. Would you like to explain that?
Jesus Christ. So that's your taste of Hutch. That's your taste of the wonderful Zionist Hutch, who is definitely afraid to debate me, but who constantly challenges random Twitter commenters to debates. He'll debate like a random guy with 2 followers on Twitter, but he won't debate me. I'm like Voldemort for him, as I am for most of these people. And he's a genocide denier as well. He denies genocide with the most vile, disgusting talking points imaginable. If I were committing a genocide, I would probably at least kill people faster than the birth rate in the region.
This is actually the dumbest talking point you will ever encounter by people like Hutch, who are dumber than dirt. Okay, they think, this is the thing that's incredible. Hutch thinks that projections that were based on pre-war conditions means that the population is currently growing. It's like they have a graph that was graphed out 3 years ago when there wasn't a genocidal war going on, showing population increasing in Gaza, and they go, oh, the genocide is, oh man, what a shitty genocide. The population is growing according to these projections. And it's like, they can't do evidence anymore. They've destroyed all the civilian infrastructure, you dumbass. They can't even, they're not doing not doing new projections. They destroyed all the housing. They destroyed every hospital. They destroyed every school. They're starving. These projections are no longer valid, you dumb fuck. But he uses that as an example. He's that stupid. He's that much of a dumb fuck. He actually posts shit like this. You're fucking stupid, Hutch. You are stupid. You are a fucking dumbass.
He said this multiple times. He really likes this talking point particularly. That's not even the only time he said it. He said, if they're intending to destroy the population of Gaza, one would think they would kill them off at a higher rate than the birth rate in that region. This is such a bizarre talking point. For one, birth rates from Gaza are from before October 7th. There's no fucking statistics regarding actual real birth rates in Gaza. Do you think the census is going on in Gaza? You think they're counting this shit? Are you kidding me? They can barely count the dead. And you think they're counting birth rates? The birth rate in Gaza has undoubtedly fucking plummeted as a result of this, but obviously we don't have numbers for that because it's a fucking active genocide, you dumb fuck. So the argument he's making here is based off birth rates from before October 7th. Like, obviously there can't be a genocide because if you look at the like FBI world fact...
Hutch and Destiny always argue like this. If X then Y, therefore Y, you mean Z. Therefore Z. This is an obvious non sequitur, as you've pointed out many times. He's a fucking like, I can't believe he thinks this is a good point. I legitimately can't believe he's this stupid. Like, this is what causes me to lose my mind. Like, the amount of like, you can't be serious right now. They've destroyed every building. They're in famine. Every hospital is destroyed. Every university has been detonated. Like, you think the birth rate is still the same? He's dumber than dirt. Like, I can't believe he actually thinks this. Like, what? You're this stupid? Like, this is one of the problems with people like Hutch and Destiny, is they say shit that's so dumb that if you're educated on these issues, you can't even anticipate how stupid they are.
Book statistic, which is an estimation based off the previous year statistics. It says so. It's an estimation. It's not an actual real statistic. That thing that he's undoubtedly referring to here, because it's the source that all these Zionists have used, and this guy doesn't have original thought in his body, he gets it from other people. It's literally a made-up estimation based off the trend from before October 7th, you dumb fuck. For two, there's nothing in the definition of genocide that says birth rates have to go down for it to be a genocide. There's nothing, in fact, in the definition of genocide that says the genocide has to be successful for it to be a genocide. Just because you're bad at genocide, or because it's not as extensive as you might likely to be, doesn't mean you're not committing genocide. You can commit genocide without killing a single person. Look at the fucking law. You appeal to like international law, your own made-up interpretations of it. Where in the law, the like definition of genocide, does it say that people have to die? It doesn't say a single thing about it. It's not a requirement. It's a possibility. So this talking point is a fucking total joke. It's just disgusting. Like, you're talking about birth rates?
Also, Rule 3 of the Geneva Convention provides protection for members of the opposing force deemed to be non-combatants, such as medics and religious personnel who do not engage in fighting. We also have clear definition. Combatants are persons who may take a direct part in hostilities, i.e. participate in the use of a weapon or a weapon system in an indispensable function. All these Geneva Convention classes in the Army are now quite helpful regarding genocide. They don't care, vet. The United States of America no longer cares about the international law and war crimes. We have openly endorsed genocide. The United States is the Nazi party in the world. That's the, like, I know a lot of vets. I mean, I took laws of war classes. I studied the Geneva Conventions at the academy. Like, I studied just war theory. All that's out the fucking window. It means nothing. It means nothing. It's all gone. The pretense of being a party to these conventions has been annihilated by Joe Biden and people like Hutch. No one who ever fights the U.S. again is ever going to feel bound by the Geneva Conventions. Ever.
To deny genocide? And I undoubtedly will tell you, this guy then, he thinks there's a genocide in Xinjiang, by the way. He thinks there's a genocide in Xinjiang. And he'll make talking points like that when the population of Uyghurs in Xinjiang has increased, so there can't be a genocide, right? He tries to frame ethnic cleansing as evacuation to safe zones. Check this one out. He says the ICJ ruling was nuanced. No, it fucking wasn't.
From the same article you just had up, specific protection to which hospitals are entitled shall not cease unless they are used by a party to the conflict to commit, outside their humanitarian function, an act harmful to the enemy. In case of doubt as to whether medical units or establishments are used to commit an act harmful to the enemy, they should be presumed not to be so used. That's exactly. They'll be like, oh, a guy was in there. That's act harmful to Israel.
It was unequivocal. Clear majority. And guess what's going to happen with the ICJ ruling, by the way? Very likely, almost certainly going to be genocide because Israel has done everything to give them the reason to do so. He goes on to say, 1 million were evacuated over 3 weeks to safe zones, north and northwest. This happened, and Biden pressured Israel to allow it, and that's good, actually. Now, I went over earlier how I'll show it again. The Biden administration said they never put any pressure on Israel. Its officials are bragging about this now. Biden officials never pressured Israel for ceasefire. Israeli officials have even bragged about this, and Biden officials have been open about it. So that never happened. And he frames what is ethnic cleansing. This is Israel ethnically cleansing Palestinians who they never intend to allow to return. That's what this was. They ordered them to leave under threat of being murdered. And then they bombed the supposed safe zones anyway. This guy frames ethnic cleansing with genocide. Genocidal ethnic cleansing. That's what that is. He frames it as actually humanitarian safe zones. Thank you, Israel, for confining us to the concentration camp safe zone. The fucking Auschwitz, I can never say Polish words, safe zone. Thank you, Israel. The Treblinka fucking safe zone. Thank you so much, Israel, for making these safe zones to protect the Palestinians in this definitely not
By the way, Bibi was giving genocidal military orders from a hospital bed after getting his prostate removed like a year ago. Would that justify flattening the whole hospital? According to Israel, the answer is yes. Why do loser gooting to LOL obsessed gamers even talk about this? Stick to your head tie shit, loser gamers like. Because Hasan is famous. And there is a large right-wing Nazi group that will go to any negative talk about Hasan. And there is Destiny's community who is parasocial stalkers of me and Hasan who will go to your video whenever you talk about it. That's why. Because there is a political element. They talk about it to get clout. They're that fucking stupid. But the thing is, nobody's listening to Hutch for his takes. Nobody thinks Hutch is smart. I may not be the most influential political commentator in the world, but people think there's a lot of people that actually come and watch me for my takes. Nobody watches Hutch for his takes. There is not one person in the entire fucking world who is like, Hutch is my guy that I go to who knows a lot about politics. Not one.
Genocide because the birth rates. No wonder he won't debate me. Jesus Christ. From Call of Duty to genocide denial. From Call of Duty to genocide support. This is not just denial. This is outright support. And this guy, by the way, is of course like being praised and lauded by Ethan Klein. Like how fucking far has the H3 podcast fallen? They used to get like fucking real like fucking worldwide celebrities like Bill Burr and shit in there. Now they're getting fucking 10k view per video, ex-Call of Duty YouTuber who supports genocide to call in. Jesus, the lowest of the low. They've gotten so low. It's amazing. This is what they're dealing with now. What a fall. Incredible and 100% deserved. I hope it gets worse for them because that's what Zionists deserve. Anyway, yeah, what a piece of shit. What a turd. Unbelievable. From playing shooter video game, famously the shooter video game for like 12-year-old boys who say the N-word, to advocating for genocide to a whopping 100 viewers. How does this shit happen? What a fucking shit world we live in. What a joke.
It's crazy, man. It's actually crazy how pathetic Hutch is. And speaking of how pathetic Hutch is, let's not forget that he is actually one of the dumbest pieces of shit who has ever lived. Hutch, you still owe me $1,500 for the 2 bets you lost. 1, Joe Biden would win the 2024 presidential election campaign. 2, Donald Trump would be put in prison for his crimes for longer than 30 days by January 21st, 2025. Pay up. And here are the receipts. You'd be down to take me up on a $1,000 bet that Trump ends up incarcerated after all these trials? Basically, the bet was prison for Trump for 30 days or more before January 21st, 2025. You win 1,000. If not, I win. August 1st, 2023. Immediately after his message at 2:27 p.m. Okay, I could talk. So here's another bet. So the bet is Biden wins the 2024 presidential election. If he does, you get 500. If not, I get 500. Assuming he runs against Trump, yeah, he's the incumbent. If he's not president in 2025, I win the bet. I'll accept a $500 bet with those terms. Guess what? Hutch ran. Hutch, Trump ran. Accepting the bet. Assuming he runs against Trump, yeah. He's dumb as fuck. And by the way, those were easy. I knew that Joe Biden would lose, in November of 2021. Why did I know that? Because he didn't pass anything. He had a trifecta and he didn't pass anything of significance. And I knew all the problems in our society were going to get worse and people were going to be turning against him and that he was going to be a failure. It's my girlfriend's birthday today. She's 55 and says she loves you. I love her too. Okay, happy birthday. Mad Daft's girlfriend. All right, let's go back to Hasan.
Changing your ways, change your ways. We're changing your